Hello and welcome back to another exciting episode of Humanastory Live's Coffee with Humanastory, episode number 28. I'm joined by Zeus, and if you would like to join in on the conversation as well, simply log into our Humanastory Live thread, give us your best shot. If they're good, I'll read them on the air, and if they're bad, I'll let Zeus read them on the air. We also have a special member at our community. His name is Mark Sargent. He'll be joining us today as well. And if you can't find it, and I stole this from him, and so he's going to hear it straight out. If you can't find it, you're probably using a lightning boat in the Stone Age somewhere off-grid. And remember, the more you weigh, the harder you are to kidnap, so eat more Nutter Butter. Callers can call in at 1-619-798-6307 if you're in the greater San Diego area. If you're not, you can Skype us at Humanastory for the whole world to connect. Anyway, Coffee with Humanastory episodes air Monday through Friday, 7:30 a.m. They re-air every Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, U.S. And you can submit your stories by going to Humanastory and clicking the Submit button. Yes, that's right, the Submit button. Don't forget, you can listen to Humanastory Live Presents, a Life in Review, guest speaker interviews. They air every Saturday at 8 p.m. They re-air every Sunday at noon. And for those of you that can't make either of those, we do a random show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. So we do have a theme of the day. The theme of the day today is zombies. The question of the day is, would you ever eat brains? And we're going to get back to that here shortly. I've got Mark Sargent on the line, and I have Mark Emke, my co-host. So I'm going to call one Zeus and one Sargent, if that's okay.
Sure. With
both of you. So that's that's how we'll play this out. So, Zeus, how are you doing?
I'm doing just fine.
How was your morning going, buddy?
It's going pretty good. It's another day I'm alive, so.
Yeah, we're just ticking away time here. Okay, so I feel weird calling you Sargent. I want to call you Mark, so it's...
No, just call him Sarge.
Yeah,
there you go.
Call me Sarge, that's fine.
Oh, we'll call him the Sarge, huh? Okay, so
yeah.
How are you doing today, Sargent?
Pretty good. No complaints this morning.
No complaints.
Nope.
Okay, normally we basically do our introduction. It's all unscripted. We're going to be having you on a scripted show on Saturday, the 16th. Mm-hmm. And so this one is going to be a little more in-depth. It's not going to be about Flat Earth because everyone knows that you dabble into the mystic realm of enclosed world. I remembered the term.
Yep.
So the idea of this Saturday show is going to be very specific. It's going to be based on who you are as a person. And I have gotten to know you over the last couple months, and every interaction I've ever had with you has been really nice. I mean, you've been professional, you've been polite. Not that is the sole basis for what makes a good person, but we all know morally inside what makes a good person, and we're going to dabble into that on Saturday, and I think that will help your case. I've done some research on the side, and I've run across various people that I mean, I don't know how to say it any other way, but they I don't know if they just hate you and Patricia or what's the deal with all the animosity between you and I would say them. There's a guy named something Dubay, Paul Dubay, Robert Dubay. I don't even know.
Eric Dubay, yes, I know him very well.
Okay. Okay, just looking on his website, he claims to teach yoga, he claims all this stuff, and okay, you know what our site's about. The story of humanity, one person at a time. We don't dabble into the flat earth realm. We got your story initially because we felt it was an interesting aspect to humanity. And I don't know how to word that any other way other than the reason that we talked to you was because you are a human being on this planet, and it's an interesting story. It's an interesting thought process. And now, with all conspiracy theories aside, what's the deal with a guy who claims to teach yoga? First off, he's living in Thailand, I guess. I'm just looking at a brief summary of this guy, because again, I don't know who he is.
Yeah.
But he claims to live in Thailand. I have a stepmother that's Thai, and there's no way in hell that they would ever talk the way this guy talks about you guys. And he claims to be a yoga instructor, and I'm guessing he's in some form of religion. Probably yeah. Buddhist if he's Buddhism, over there. Yeah. And they don't talk like that. They're not rude.
I know.
Now this is just a real quick glance at a guy. I don't even, like I said, just by the outward appearance, if I were to look at you and look at him, having gotten to know who you are, you're not by any means anything they describe. And to me, that I don't know how to word this.
That's all right.
But it rubs you the wrong way, And when I ran across this video that I guess he was doing, and I don't know what this term shill is. I've just recently ran across some stupid terms that they use. What's the deal? I guess is where I'm going to go with this. Well, what is the deal?
It's mostly I can fill in all the blanks here. It's no worries. We're talking about a guy named Eric Dubay, Dubay, and he was in the Flat Earth thing late 2014, early 2015, and his videos were actually a few months older than mine, believe it or not. He was kind of doing his thing. There's a Flat Earth Society, and he broke away from that because he knew as well as I did that it's been infiltrated so heavily that it's worthless at this point. And so he created his own thing called the International Flat Earth Research Society, which was known as the IFERS board, IFERS. And then I came and did my stuff, and his people approached me, and believe it or not, he and I were no problems between us whatsoever. And his people came to me after I had done like an early interview, like interview 3 or 4, and said, Eric's really upset with you because of some of the things you're mentioning. And I go, really? What are these things? And they say, well, one, you're saying that the moon is like 3-dimensional, and you keep mentioning Crow 777 and his video work, and Eric doesn't want you to mention that anymore. It's like, what are you talking about? and they said, oh, and also you've got to say that the Earth is perfectly flat. There can't be any warps or curves to it whatsoever. Because early on, I was saying that I like a few warps and curves to the model. And no disrespect to him. I was like, look, I don't necessarily need permission from anybody to be doing this. It's just a theory and a model, and I'm putting it out there. And he immediately, because this thing has gotten so big, it got so big so quickly, people want their credit, and it's really kind of a power and an ego struggle. And so he came after me immediately and just started labeling me as shill. And for those who don't know what shill is, it's really just a one-syllable word.
I didn't even know what it was.
Yeah, one-syllable word for disinformation agent, which is, that he says, oh, no, Mark is obviously being paid by the government, and he's directing the movement in a certain way, and he shouldn't be trusted by any stretch. And, he had enough people behind him that there were a few videos made, and he wouldn't back down from that. And I offered the olive branch to him many times. I have never said a discouraging word in either text or audio or video or anything along those lines. Well, I just would not fight with him.
Let me back up a little bit, because the reason, like I said, the whole originally, so Coffee with Humanastory, it's just an unscripted show. Me and Mark, we just, for the better lack of using terminology, me and him just stick around, on the air. And, we take callers from members. Now, you, in my eyes, are a humanistorian. You are someone. You've got a story to share. You stick your neck out to do it. Every interaction I've ever had with you has been more than perfect. I mean, you're not rude. You're not mean. I don't know how to stress it any other way except you're a nice guy. You know, and they say you have to watch out for the nice guy.
Yes.
But what I'm getting at is, so here's a guy. How do you go from having a religion like Buddhist, teaching yoga? I mean, because these are all deeply rooted,
peaceful,
peaceful, loving things, and then you see his actions. So he's either an extreme hypocrite, or he's a liar.
That's pretty much it. It's a hypocritical thing. I would love
to get him on the show and sit you and him down and ask you both, what's the beef? Because to me, if I'm trying to prove that, let's just use this for an example. I'm trying to prove the Earth is flat.
Yeah.
And you're trying to prove the Earth is flat. Why would you not work together?
Yeah.
You know, why not especially the yin and yang?
Men are notorious for power struggles when it comes like this. And I didn't want to be any part of the power struggle, but it looked like it was going to turn into that. But where the wrinkle came in, and which really, really surprised me was, he and I, and I wasn't trying to turn it into a horse race or anything. He and I were both doing interviews. We were both putting out videos. And then all of a sudden, towards the back part of 2015, he decides he's going to break away from the flat Earth thing just briefly and put out a 4-hour video that basically says all Jewish people should be wiped out.
Wait. He put out a 4-hour video as to why Jewish people should be wiped out.
Oh yeah, it's still on his YouTube page right now as we speak. And it's called the thumbnail.
This is coming. Hold on.
Go ahead.
This is coming from a man who's Buddhist.
Yeah.
And a yoga instructor.
Yeah. Yeah. There's not a lot of neo-Nazi yoga instructors as far as I know. But it was.
You know, in Thailand, and I learned this from my stepmother.
Yeah.
They're young. You get a chance, kind of like a Mormon missionary. At some point in your religious experience, you're told by your parents or elders to go become a monk for, it's like 6 months to 2 years, depending on, it's almost like joining the military. You know, you basically sign away your rights and you go up to the monasteries and you help out, and that's their way. Mm-hmm. So here's a man who's telling people that he has a following of, that they should just, all Jews should be wiped off. Who is this man?
I had no idea at that point. In fact, I had people, the only saving grace was he didn't put Flat Earth in the title, although the title was inflammatory as it was. It was called, literally the title of the video, and again, you can look it up right now, it was called Adolf Hitler versus the Jew World Order. And
wow,
and I know I was going, which is basically just a cut up version of the greatest story never told, or something like basically a Holocaust denial.
Yeah, I just want to get him on the air too, and I want to find out his point of view, because to me, it just talking and doing the little research I've done, I don't know the guy. I do not know a lot about this whole flat Earth thing. Yeah. I don't.
Sure.
In fact, I ask you a lot of questions half the time because I don't know who else to ask. I talk to you and Patricia. Most of the time when I talk to Patricia Steer, I'm asking her about vegetarian stuff because I have, as you know, Mark is, he's terminally ill. And so, but it grabbed me because I was watching his videos. He's rude. And I'm not trying to make this about him. I wanted to ask you what the deal was between you and him, because he also attacks even Patricia, and he says something about government agents, and again, I still have my debates on how evil the world really is, but I find it hard to believe that somebody like you, knowing you, I mean, granted, I don't know you as my buddy down the street, but we are getting closer, and the more I talk to you, the more I see you're just a normal person, and
sure.
I don't get the hatred. Like, I mean, you've got to have a lot of hatred in you, and I have half a mind, and I thought about this when I ran across his videos, going onto his website, his yoga website, and telling everybody what kind of person he really is. Because you can see it, if you just. But see, that's the thing. Any kind of really good argument, if it's a bad argument, you can take everything but the conclusion, and it'll still fall apart. So I guess it'll just kind of shine through itself. But I guess the question I have for you is why his hatred for you when you've never really displayed, and I mean, you haven't displayed any of it to me, so maybe there's a side of you I don't know. I mean,
no. It's strictly
you go to your basement and start screaming and yelling or something. I mean,
no, it's strictly ego on his side. I don't know. I have never fought him on anything, and then because he doesn't like. Because again, I was getting traction, and a lot of it still am. And it drives him nuts for whatever reason. He does not want to share anything with this. Some people have actually accused him of saying it's either Eric's way or the highway, and I get that. I know guys like this. It's not hard to decipher, but he's really gone out of his way to try to push buttons to where.
Okay. Okay. Well, you know what? Here's what I'm gonna do, because I've only got 30 seconds left in this segment. Eric Dubay, if you're listening, I'm gonna give Mark Sargent a copy of this to put up on his YouTube channel, and I call you out. I want you to talk to me, or go to my website. I want to talk to you directly. I want to find out why the hatred, Buddhist. Humanastory is the story of humanity, one person at a time. We believe each person has a story to tell, and each story shapes that person into who they are today. Collectively, and more importantly, each and every person's story shapes this little blue rock we call home. We are all together whether we like it or not. We also believe that your unique story might just help someone else traveling down your pathway in life. You might be their guide through this rough time. We are always looking for more exciting stories to share with the world. If you've got one, come share it with us today.
We all know Mr. Mark Sargent's crazy, thought-provoking theories and his yearning to find the truth. Through the years, he's made many enemies and even more allies. But do we really know who he is?
Can this man really be trusted? Come join us January 16th at 8 p.m. at humanastory.com. Welcome back to segment 2 of episode 28, Coffee with Humanastory. I'm here with Mark Sargent and Zeus. There you go. That's how I'm going to do this. So the question we asked you guys earlier was, would you ever eat brains? This is pertaining to zombies. And as you all know, the first segment is kind of loose, and we just chat about everything. So I have a serious question for you, Mark. Yeah, this is probably the toughest question you're gonna ever be asked all year long, and since it's January, what the hell, right? Would you ever eat brains?
Me?
Yes.
No. I would never eat brains.
What about human brains?
No, I don't think I've actually eaten any sort of animal brains, but human brains, no. But then again, I've got kind of an opinion on the whole zombie thing anyway. Even, because zombies, whether they be slow zombies from the 70s and the 80s to the fast zombies of the 90s and the 2000s, I don't, the whole medically speaking, the whole concept of zombies has so many flaws in it that it would be even the thought of eating brains doesn't make sense, because I mean, if has anyone looked at zombies? I mean, believe me, I love the zombie, the whole genre, and I followed everything from the original Night of the Living Dead in 1968 through all the different Dawn of the Dead, back in the shopping mall, and then the remake that they did with Ving Rhames later. I'm a huge fan, but but zombies as a monster demographic are so. They're different than any other monster, werewolves and mummies and vampires and all that. Those you can actually make a case for how those could be possible, but zombies have a real problem, which is when you're dead, when you get into that atrophy and your vital organs shut down and all these things. I mean, the human body is such a complex mechanical process that walking, doing anything at all is so unbelievably remote and impossible unless you're talking some magical thing, magical power that's keeping them running around. That it just, you wouldn't be doing anything. You wouldn't, there would be no motion. Even if you could wake up from being dead, you'd be frozen. Your limbs wouldn't work. None of your muscles would work because it's all liquid based, which was kind of like when they were talking about the only practical movie that I ever saw about it was the original, if you remember the British film 28 Days Later, which it was a blood virus, which kind of turns you into a zombie. But basically, once your body started collapsing because of the whole fluid thing, once you became so dehydrated enough, your body was never going to function anyway.
So I did medic work, as a paramedic, drove an ambulance. And one of the things that we often discussed was, is it possible that something like that could ever happen? And one of the things that we came up with was, what about not necessarily, I will call it zombiehood. Okay, so not necessarily zombiehood, but what about a rapid form of the rabies virus?
Oh, sure.
Which would make people aggressive.
Yep.
But with that said, the virus would have to enter the body. It would have to develop. It'd have to cultivate. Then it would have to spread through the body, and it would have to mush the brain enough to make you just the primal functions, and then it would have to spread within a 24-hour period, which would be the hard part.
Yep.
So do you think, well, what about this?
If it was a rabies virus and you didn't actually die and come back, then maybe. I don't know what would be the infatuation with brains.
Well, here you go. And that's where. But is it possible? Do you think that we could have something like that happen? I mean, not necessarily, I guess, eating people's brains, but if I injected you with a rabies virus that could do something like that, you could go down to your basic primal functions, and then you'd be able to also have the adrenaline to be strong. One of the things about the zombies is they just keep going. Yeah. So they don't stop. But you could do that with stuff like PCP.
Yeah.
So it is possible.
Oh, sure.
But
sure.
But what about the government? What about
brainwashing? Nice play on words there. You want to take the perfect movie, from the government standpoint. Look at The Crazies, which was actually a remake done with Timothy Oliphant, not that many years ago at all. Which was the government had designed a version of I think it was rabies or a different ever so slightly different type, which you introduce into a city to destabilize a population, and it's infectious and it makes people homicidal and aggressive, and it was an interesting movie because it varied from person to person. Some people
what was the name of that movie?
The Crazies.
Okay.
It's with Timothy Oliphant, one of my favorite leading men when it comes to disaster movies. It was outstanding, and that was the thought. There was a government plane accidentally went down into a swamp that swamp eventually fed into a tributary, which fed into a public water system, I believe, to a town in either Iowa or Indiana. I can't remember. And people were drinking this in low doses. And it started filtering from the outer edges of the town where the water was coming in to finally the inner edges. And the population freaking lost it. And, kind of turned into a zombie type situation. But the point was they didn't die. It wasn't like your traditional zombies where you die and you wake up.
And that's what I was kind of thinking. Is it possible? Do you think that something like that could happen if it wasn't the classic zombie case?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I have no doubt the government has destabilization projects that are already completed, but it's really, really tricky. It's one of those things where you may have it in your vault and you may want to use it, but no different than nerve gas or any sort of biological. You have a problem there because once you introduce it, it's tough to contain. And you better hope the virus doesn't mutate, because even though you may have the antidote for it or, some sort of immunization.
Like the flu.
Exactly. Even though you build it, here, take this pill, take this shot, and you'll be fine. The rest of the population is going to lose it, but you'll be fine. If it mutates, you may not be immune. And so that's why they're always so hesitant to do it. Yeah, it'd be like a last-ditch effort thing you introduce, into the population as part of a giant apocalypse program. But you can't do it piecemeal. You just cannot do it because look at the movie or the television miniseries based on the Stephen King book, The Stand, back from, when did he write that? The 70s, late 70s, where it was a government project. It leaked out and it killed 90-something% of the population. It was never supposed to get out, but through a series of events, it got off a military base. The government has something like that. Oh yeah, you bet they do. And things that are 10 times worse. But are they going to use them? They are very, very hesitant about using this stuff because, again, there's too many unknowns, especially with the human body, because of the chance that some person may mutate the virus into something else, and they don't have time to try to contain it.
So, Zeus, what do you think? I caught him off guard. He's like, I'm going to sit back and listen. So, okay.
You caught me off guard. I was sitting
Tell
there.
us your thoughts. Would you eat brains?
No, I don't think so. I think brains are really gross. That's my opinion.
And what is your opinion on zombies, my friend?
Zombies, that's a horror story, that's all. That's my opinion. But I mean,
now,
you were showing me that clip where they were eating monkey brains.
Oh God,
that was gross.
That was so gross.
Man.
Have you seen? There's this clip from the early '70s or late '70s. I don't even know. I just know
with the Indiana Jones clip.
No, there is a clip where they take a live monkey and they literally put it in this device and they hit it with a hammer, and they're screaming the whole time. Like, it's, if you can stomach it, that literally, it's real.
Gross.
And you see these people eating live monkey brains. I didn't think it was real. I was talking about Indiana Jones, in fact, and just like you, I thought of Indiana Jones, and one of our buddies was like, No. I'm not talking about Indiana Jones. And so, of course, it piques curiosity, and we're researching it, trying to find it. And, of course, we run across this one video clip. It happened, I think, one time, and the backlash that came from it was nuts. But they literally take a monkey, put it in a table, and
in the middle of the table, and they all hit it with a hammer. And then they saw its head off, and then they eat the monkey brain.
Like live,
yeah. It was, oh God.
Oh God, yeah. We had to stop it. I'll never do that again. I'm never gonna listen to anyone else again. But so yeah, you know what? This is gonna go up on your YouTube channel today because I'm tired of making videos. So, so I'm gonna ask all of your devoted followers. Would you ever eat brains? And what are your thoughts on zombies? And not necessarily the dead reanimated zombies, but the zombies that me and Mark Sargent are talking about. Is it possible that they have chemicals now that could tell you what to do? and make you kill other people violently, primally. And so I guess the question that I would have for you, Mark Sargent, Sargent, you're Zeus. Remember, man, you're Zeus.
Yeah.
He's Sargent.
Okay.
All right. What?
So, would you? Do you think it's possible that the government? Well, I guess the question I have is, why would the government make such weaponry if they don't ever plan on using it?
Mostly for the old scientific thing that is why
is it kind of like why Hitler experimented on people? I mean, a lot of people complained that Hitler did it, but
because you can. The whole nature of science, and that's really what it comes down to. The whole nature of science is they don't question the morality of it. It's can it be done or can it? Let the other people decide what to do with it. We're just going to see if it's possible. If you task a team to, I'll use the line from Real Genius, that 1985 movie with Val Kilmer, when they were trying to design a portable laser that could vaporize a target from space, which was the argument at the end was the quandary was that, well, we were just tasked to design it. It's not our place to say the morals of this weapon, or if it even is going to be a weapon. We're just trying to develop the technology.
Well, some people. The thing is, some people would have the argument. Let's say Hitler. Let's use Hitler because he's a prime example. He experimented on people.
Yeah.
A lot of people would say, "Well, yeah, you could save 50 million Jews, but look how many people he's actually saved with his research that our medical teams have used." So, I mean, it's that tug back and forth. I mean, I hear people say it time and time again. You know how many billions of people that our medical discoveries have saved versus 50 million people? I'm not justifying life. I'm just saying the sheer numbers are different because of what he did.
The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one. Yeah, or the greater good argument, which was talked about in Swordfish, and that was, would you sacrifice a single child to cure cancer? And unfortunately, it's the impossible decision. Now, from the outside, yes, anybody in the outside would say, "Oh, yes, I would sacrifice a single child to sacrifice or to cure cancer." However, you come back and say, "What if it was your child?" And then it becomes impossible because no one would ever sacrifice their own child, which is why these debates don't happen, which is why these weapons are designed and tested and perfected without anybody knowing, because the debates would never end. It's a never-ending debate. No one would ever, you try to go to a focus group on whether or not atomic weapons should be built, regardless whether you think the technology is real or not. Or we'll take something that very is real, and that is, the best nerve gas in the world.
It does make a lot of sense. I mean, the way you're talking, if you really stop and think about it for a minute, you've got, just take this minimum wage thing that they want to do, $15 an hour. Yep. I was watching this video where this and this is, again, it's a real mild form of what you're saying. So this guy would ask people, do you think that people should be paid $15 an hour? And of course, naturally, almost 100% of the people said yes. Yeah, we do. But then he goes, would you pay 15% more if you bought a candy bar for $1? Would you pay 15% more so that could be to their wage? And of course, naturally, everybody, no, I don't want to pay more. So people don't want to pay more, but they want to see the better outcome, and they don't want to do anything about it. It's almost...
People have a lot of knee-jerk reactions to things. And to circle back to the weaponry, look, we do not know, when it comes down to it, we do not know the limits as far as how far we should take things. We take it as absolutely as far as physically possible. And that we've seen it with advertising. We've seen it with sports. We've seen it with anything. We take it to the whole term extreme. We take everything to the extreme because we can. And weapons are the prime example of that. There's nothing stopping them. No one is going to sit in a room and saying, "Well, we probably shouldn't," because all you need is one person to say, "Well, our enemies will, so we'd better do it." we better take it as far as we can, because if we don't, somebody else is gonna. I get that, but at the same time, it is the paradox of what we are, our civilization, and that is we have the potential to do so many good things, but we don't discern between the things we should be progressing and things we shouldn't, because where's the line? Who decides that? And the end answer is nobody decides it. Everyone says, okay, we'll just do it. If the idea is there, we will take it to the nth degree.
Oh yeah, if the idea is there, then it's bound to happen. Somebody's going to think of it if you didn't.
Look. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I know you don't analyze it, but
yeah, we don't have much time left over. I at the beginning of this, we were talking. What is his name? Eric Dubay.
Eric Dubay. Okay. Do you be?
So I'm sure that he'll eventually get this, because this is the one you're going to put up. Mm-hmm. So Eric, I'm Brian from Humanastory, the story of humanity one person at a time. I deal with a lot of sick and dying people. Now, if you're Buddhist, you'll understand that. I reach out to people who try to have a voice. I want to know if you have a voice or if it's your community telling you what to do. I would like to talk to you in person. Find out exactly what your beef is with Mr. Sargent and Miss Steer. And I'd also like to know what your views and what your points are. Now, I've tried to reach out to you, so I'm just going to call you out on it. Are you a man of your actions, or are you all talk? We'll find out. Mr. Sargent, I want to thank you for being on our show. I know that you weren't expecting to be on a coffee with Humanastory, but I try to take what I try to do with coffee with Humanastory is I try to grab one member, usually a day, and we just all talk and have a good time. That's really all it is. I wanted to touch on this because, it's something that kind of bugged me, because I'm a good-natured person. I don't believe that people should hate each other, especially over something like this. And if there's any way that it can be resolved, it should be resolved. I mean, that's the Buddhist way. So, Mr. Sargent, I want to thank you for being on the show. And again, I'll give you this copy. You'll put this one up on your channel. And Zeus here, he loves you too.
Oh, yeah, I do. I just didn't talk very much.
Much love. Well, we were talking about zombies. So, from Humanastory, y'all have... Humanastory thanks you for listening and your activity within our community. We hope to grow a little each day with the lives of